Live from Austin, Texas, you're listening to the Next 15 Podcast Show with Trey North, a live podcast covering random topics such as relationships, current news, and everyday life issues, along with my co-hosts, Chris McAllister and Andrea Clark. Get ready for the next few minutes as we hope to make you laugh, educate, and inspire you. Welcome to the Next 15 Podcast Show. This is Trey North. It's 7 o'clock. And you know what time it is. It's time for another episode of the Next 15 Podcast Show, along with my co-host, Chris McAllister.
Yo, everybody, what's going on? It is always good to be back, ladies and gentlemen.
Listen, man, we are -1. Andrea Clark is not in the studio. She's one of the hardest working women that I do know. And she's not with us today. She had to tend to her daughter. So she has a game tonight, so she's got to do the mama thing. So Andrea, if you're out there listening, hopefully you are. We miss you. I want to say thank you to those that are live right now on Spreaker.com and on the Next15podcast.com website. To our Texas listeners, Chris, I got to give a shout out to Austin, Dallas, Houston, Tyler, and the surrounding areas. And I can't forget to mention the out-of-state listeners in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and many more. And I haven't done it in a while, but our out-of-the-country listeners who tune in from India, Germany, Japan, Russia, Brazil, Philippines, Australia, United Kingdom. Okay, I'll stop right there. Right. And I got to give a shout out to my mom, Stella B. North, who always is listening in but threatening to pull the cord on this whole operation if I don't stop telling her business. So I love you, mama.
Yeah, hey, Mom.
And last but not least, I want to thank everybody for wishing me a happy birthday on March the 23rd. And I had some cash out, man. I had some funds coming through.
Little money, ain't nothing wrong with little money.
Ain't nothing wrong with little money, you know what I'm saying? So thank y'all. I do appreciate y'all blessing me. Listen, if you missed last Friday's show hosted by Chris McAllister entitled Reverse, you better go back on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, or even the website, or wherever you listen to your podcast, and listen to this and other awesome episodes that we hope will educate and inspire you. And speaking of inspire, it's a great segue. Tonight's episode is all about inspiration. And guys, we hope that by the end of this show, it will be just that, inspire with a new perspective and a new outlook on how you invest your time, your energy, and your heart. We hope that the next 30 to 60 minutes that your eyes will be open, your mind will be transformed, and hopefully your heart will be changed, in a way that you're not just investing yourselves, but maybe in other. Tonight's episode is called The Investment, and it starts right now. You're listening to the Next 15 Podcast Show with Trey North on Spreaker.com. All right, guys. Well, let's just jump into it, man. The investment.
Yeah, man.
What does that mean to you?
Man, investment means so much, man. When you hear the word investment, you usually go straight to money, right?
Yeah.
But investment means so many other things than just the monetary investment. Investment of time, investment of emotion, almost investment of free will, man. Like it's investment is actually what everybody does, regardless if you believe you do it or not. Everybody invests something in something at some point in time.
Man, I agree with that, man. Yeah, everybody invests, and they don't invest without thinking about a return.
Yeah.
I mean, who does, though? I mean, at the end of the day, who does, man? Yeah, man. Like you said, most people think about the word investment. They're thinking about money. But tonight, we're not talking about that money, not that paper trail. We're talking about investing in others.
Yes, sir.
Which and what that means is simply a selfless gesture. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where you see the value in people and then you view others how God sees them. Yeah. That's what I think about the investment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, man. Because here's the thing, man. Like a lot of people don't understand that when you invest in people, people are your greatest commodity. You
Ooh,
know what I mean?
nice.
People are your greatest commodity
Right.
because if you invest in people, you don't have to worry about the money. You'll have the individuals that can help get done what needs to get done on your end. You know?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
And that's so true. And the reason why, because look how God invested in people. He set
yeah,
the tone of investment of man when He sent His Son to die for us, so that we'll
yeah,
have eternal life. So He already set the tone, just like you said. He set it up already, and then
yeah,
and when you do invest in others, you really do have to look beyond their flaws, and acknowledge that they are imperfect, but they have purpose.
yeah, yeah.
And you are selfless and forgiving.
Right. But let's dive deeper into this, man, because I have a question.
Okay.
Because with us knowing, a lot of us know
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we invest in people and our time in people.
Mm.
But what are some of the drawbacks from investing in people?
Ooh, that that's a lot in itself right there. Drawbacks, man. You know what? Everybody everybody will not give you what you give them. They won't reciprocate what is given to
Yeah.
them. And that's a drawback, because at that point you seem like that you're giving everything that you have of yourself, and it
Hmm.
puts you into that position where you go, man, I'm giving everything I have, but I'm not receiving anything.
Right.
Sort of like a relationship. In some relationships, you
Yeah.
find that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
That
one
yeah.
drawback.
Yeah, that and that's a big one, that level of or that level of reciprocity where what you
Mm-hmm.
give you don't get
Mm-hmm.
in return, right?
Yeah.
Another drawback though for most people that don't like to invest in people is just time. A lot of
Mm.
people say they don't have the time because when you do talk about investing in people, you're usually investing in the individuals that can't do for themselves at that moment. That's
Yeah.
usually what that investment means. It
Mm.
means that you're finna put up with
Mm-hmm.
something that
Right.
even that person can't put up with at that point. So you're gonna invest whatever it is that you need to invest in that individual to help them come out on the other side of whatever situation that may be. And so that true investment means that there's a little hard work in investment that people
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
And so that could be the drawback is that time and hard work that comes with investments.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Shamika Yarbrough in the chat room says that everyone won't match your effort, which leads to disappointment.
Disappointment.
Man,
Yeah.
thank you for that comment, Shamika and Gail and Erica. Hi, we see
Erica?
you in there. Yeah, that's good, man, because that's what happens, man. A lot of people get discouraged,
Right.
when like Shamika said, man, they're not going to match your effort, and then you can find yourself. Um, I don't want to say grieving, but that could be something. But you can find
Yeah.
yourself bitter.
Oh, that's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When your efforts aren't matched, or you feel like that you've given something that wasn't reciprocated to you.
Right.
And then that's when it comes in, where you have to, again, it's a selfless gesture. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
when you invest in people, because guess what? Like you said, everybody won't be on the same plane. Everybody won't do what's required to get that initial return anyway.
Yes.
And
Yes.
same with Christ. Will everybody go to heaven? No,
No.
because they won't do what's required. You know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right.
yeah, yeah. Others just other and a lot of times people don't. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but
No, you
a lot of times people won't reciprocate because they don't even view it as they're investing in themselves. See, when you're invested in others,
mm,
you're really invested in yourself.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. But again, that goes to the point of how you view people,
Mm.
right? the minute that you understand that people are the commodity, like I was, my life growing up, again in my working career, man, started out in sales, man, and I've been in sales for the majority of my working career. And the number one thing they teach us in sales is that people is your number one commodity. So you have to be ready to adapt to any situation you need to be able to get that investment from the people. I used to sell cell phones for Singular Wireless. Any Singular Wireless fans out there? Singular Wireless, man, before they got bought out by AT&T. And one of the main things we had to understand is that everybody that walked in the door was a potential investor. Like, regardless of what they look like, regardless of how they smelled, because we had people that walked in there and you thought that they weren't going to buy anything, and they spent $5,000 on cell phones because they're getting their business off the ground. Now their business might have been hauling manure. You know what I mean? Like,
touche.
You see what I'm saying? And so, like, again, that true ability to look over everybody's fault and make sure that you invest in people is just now knowing what you need to invest would be the big issue, because sometimes we invest the wrong thing in the wrong people, which is the reason why we don't get the return that we feel like we should get.
Right. I agree with that. I think you. Now, this might sound contradictory, but
go ahead.
I don't think you necessarily should invest in everyone. You know what I mean? I think that sometimes we are assigned to invest into certain people's lives. You know what I mean? Certain people, not everyone. Especially, when you talk about the importance of investing others, and I don't want to jump ahead on that, but I mean, I want to say it, but I'm trying to be politically correct here. But yeah,
hey, it's the show, bro. Say it how you want to say it.
No, I'm just saying, there's some people that are just out to receive but never give back. There's some selfish people out there, and when you have a person that has a heart for people, because when you invest in people, you've got to have a level of heart for people. When you do that, some people are just only out for what they can get out of you, and they're never going to put back in what they receive. They're never going to give it back to anybody else, not even you, not alone you, nobody else, because they're just selfish. You know what I mean? Again, they won't invest in others, and they don't understand that the investment is people. Again, I believe in my whole heart, God invests in people, because if he's going to get anything done in this earth, he needs people to do it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I totally agree with you on that, man. And here is where another question becomes kind of heavy. Hey, we see Bree in the chat. Hey, Bree, how you doing?
What up, Bree?
But the real question also becomes is, how do you know when you have invested enough in a person?
Ooh. You know what? Let's take a quick commercial break, and we come back. Let's hit them with that one. And y'all, listen, y'all get the lines ready. It's 512-827-9164. When we come back, keep it locked right here on the Next 15. Attention business owners, entrepreneurs, podcast hosts, or even churches. Do you have a product or service that you'd like to advertise to help spread the word and boost sales for your business or organization? Then allow Next 15 Podcast Production to produce your next advertisement with a professional voiceover. We have over 20 years of experience in creating voiceovers for churches, city government departments, and online businesses. Next 15 Podcast Production will assist you with your next project using our professional studio equipment along with our experience. Let us create your next voiceover that will take your business or organization to the next level. Go to next15podcast.com and click on Voiceover Work tab to preview the actual voiceover commercials that were created for our business affiliates. You can also contact us at next15podcast@gmail.com. Next 15 Podcast Production, where voiceovers and businesses simply go together. You're listening to the Next 15 Podcast Show with Trey North on Spreaker.com. Welcome back to the Next 15 Podcast Show. Trey North and my co-host, Chris McAllister.
Yo. Hey man, before we jump in, man, I wanted to go back, if you would let me, man, back to the chat, man. Ms. Gail, as you were collecting your thoughts on how you were going to say what you were going to say, Ms. Gail gave you a description of. She was like giving you descriptions of some of these people who are takers, opportunists, selfish. So she was giving you some descriptions of those, and I'm not gonna lie to you. During the break, I just read that and started busting out. Thank you, Miss Gail. You're absolutely correct.
Oh my God, I see it now. She says, "Are those enough descriptions for you, Trey?" Absolutely, Miss Gail. Absolutely, you are right. All of those and much, much more. But hey, okay, if you're just tuning in, guys, thank you so much. We're talking about the investment and how important it is to invest in people. A lot of people think about money when it comes to investment, but tonight we're talking about investing in people and how important it is and how important it is to God to invest in others. And Chris, you had a question for everybody out there before we went to the commercial break. So can you go ahead and let's start with the second segment on that one?
Absolutely. So the next question is, as we know about, investing in people, but how do you know when you've invested enough time or enough whatever it is that you're investing in an individual? I truly believe that, you can't invest everything in a person. And I know that might sound bad, but what I mean is you can only invest to the level that they will allow you to invest to help them. Some people just don't want the investment. You know what I mean? It's like some people don't want the help. It's almost like, I'll give this example. I remember back in the day, Trey, I think we've had this conversation before. I remember back in the day, man, there was a number of years ago. I had just gotten married, I had 4 children, trying to raise a family and stuff like that. And I was still actually working at Singular Wireless at this point in time. And I had a good friend of mine who was at Singular Wireless, and he was one of the higher ups. And we were in one of our business meetings, and he just simply says, "Hey, man, I got something, man, that man is about to blow, change the world, right? And do all this good stuff, right?" And, he told me, "Hey, man, if you invest $1,000 right now, man, it'll change your life." And I'm not gonna lie to you, I thought, man, it might be a scam, pyramid scheme, and all that kind of stuff was going on and still going on today. And I didn't invest in it, man. And at the time, it was called the Tube of You. It was called the Tube of You, right? Which now we know as YouTube. And if I would have invested $1,000 back in 2004 or 5, something like that, I could be worth millions, if not billions, at this point. But again, so the question then goes back to, how do you know when you have invested enough in people? Sometimes you don't have enough to invest everything in somebody.
Wow. Yeah. Man, I mean, Shamika says, I think you have to learn balance when it comes to investment. If someone is showing you they don't respect or appreciate what you're trying to invest in them, it could be toxic for you. Those boundaries are crucial and important. Yeah, I think when you realize that the people that or persons that you are investing in are not even trying to help themselves or reach their full potential, I think that might be a great sign for you to pull out. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing, your time is in itself is an investment. We are not promised tomorrow or the next day or the next week or month. So, we have to choose how to invest our time when we invest time in others wisely. And we don't want to be, wasting our investing our time on something that is not either going to help someone or produce some type of return. It doesn't necessarily for me have to produce a return in my life. The gratification I get is knowing that when I help somebody that it indeed helped them. So if I don't get anything back, I'm not really sore about it, but at the same time, I don't want to be taken advantage of either.
Yeah, but here's another thing, man. Here's why I invest in people, man. The Bible says, if you give, it shall be given back to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will men give back unto you. Right?
Yeah.
He's not the Bible is not just talking about money in that instance. So if you invest your time into people, that investment might not be a return from that individual. God will use somebody else on the back end to reinvest in you what you didn't get in return from the person that you invested in. I think that's where the problem becomes. I think that's where the problem comes, because we want the people that we invested in to turn around and invest in us. And have you ever noticed, like, when you start something, you start a business, the friends that you invested in when they were starting their stuff and all that good stuff, and you were supportive of their stuff, but when you start yours, they're not the ones who be there for you. And that's what God does. God says, don't worry about where the return is going to come from. You're going to get the return, but you're not just going to get a regular return in what you invested. You're going to get a return, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. Will somebody else give unto you what you gave unto that other person, man?
Man, when you break it down like that's to me, I'm hearing God saying, invest in the investment.
Yeah.
Him being the investment.
Yes, sir.
Because now when you break it down like that, bro, now and I hope we're helping somebody with this, because now when you do feel like you've been taken advantage of, you haven't really been taken advantage of. You're not depending on them for the reciprocation. At this point, you're depending on God to perform what he said in his word that he will do. And we all know that he's not a man that he should lie. You know what I mean? He's not going to repent for anything he said, because first of all, whatever he says, it is. And he's careful to say what he's going to say, because he knows as soon as he opens his mouth, it's going to happen. So if he said, if you give and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, then that's exactly what's going to happen. And it doesn't matter who I'm investing in, if they return the favor or return the reciprocated or not. God is the great investor. He's the investment that you invest in.
Right. And then again, let's go a little deeper, bro. Let's go a little deeper with that.
Okay.
Because sometimes we want the investment. Okay. Oh my goodness. Here we go.
Let's go.
Sometimes we want the investment, man, to be something that we see. Sometimes what you invest in people that the return to come back on your generation, on your lineage. You can make an investment that your kids live off of. You know what I mean? So it's almost like, and so again, when you invest, that's why he says it'll be running over. It'll be more than what you can that you can hold over. Like, you are the cup. He'll pour the investment back into you, but what you invest is going to now pour over into your kids, your grandkids, your nieces and nephew, and people that are attached to you too. Sometimes, have you ever noticed, like, people get favor just for being around you? Like, you could be in a good place in your life, and just because your friend is your friend, now doors are opening up for your friend because they're connected to you because you've made the investment.
Wow.
And that's what God wants us to understand. The investment is bigger than just.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, let me go to the comments in the chat room. Bree says that sometimes we can invest money to bless somebody, but our return can be good health or healing. The return is not always what you invested. That's exactly what you were saying. And absolutely, Bree. Listen, if you're trusting in the greatest investor of all time, because he is the greatest investor of all time, because without him will be no us. You know what I'm saying? You can trust him to bless you or give you the return on what you need rather than always what you desire. And I think that is a great statement, what you said, Bree, because a lot of people, and don't get me wrong now, we can go deeper and go into investing or sowing out of a specific need, or what I like to call strategic sowing or strategic giving. You know, now there is a principle for that too, you know what I mean? Because the good measure pressed down, it can be reciprocated just like you gave it out. You know, let's not get that mistaken. But what we're just trying to say, and what I believe that our very intellectual chat room listeners in here, they understand that. They're just saying, hey, sometimes it might not be what we are expecting at that particular time, but it will be something that we need. And I really believe that.
I truly do too. And Bree, you're right, man. And Shamika, you're right also in your statement. But I want to say this too. Also, as you begin to invest, it's almost, it becomes a waiting game too. You know what I mean? It's the gray area where most people miss it. You know, we invest our time in this situation, in this individual, right? And then we look for, again, that return, but that return might not come in that first year or that second year or that third year. I'm living off of investments that I sold 15 years ago. You know what I mean? Like I truly am. And so, you know, that's why you do it, because you know, one plants, the other one waters, but God gives the total increase.
Yeah, come on.
And so what that means is that it's God's timing when the fruit will sprout up. Like, I can't make the tree grow faster than what it's going to grow. You know, no matter how much I water, no matter how much sun it get, it is up to God when he says, okay, now the tree is ripe to produce the fruit that it needs to produce. That could be could be 10 years, but the investment on that return is going to be more than what you sowed, point blank, period. And so that's
that's a word, PC. That's a word, bro. Because listen, the greatest thing is, like you said, at that time, you listen, you might not even be in a place what God's getting ready to do in your life, and you want the increase now, but the overflow that he has for you, you might not even be ready for that yet. You have to have that preparation. You know what I'm saying? You got to be ready, because listen, when he does get ready to blow your socks off, you got to be able to handle that. And if you're not positioned to handle the increase, then it is going to be detrimental to your life. And God, like we say, God is never going to put no more on you than you can bear. So that means he's not going to put that blessing on you if you're not prepared or positioned or in position to receive that blessing, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I totally agree in that. And that's what I mean as we begin to understand the investment in people, man. You have to understand the type of people that God has you investing in, because oh man, here we go. So let's talk.
Let's
fruit.
go.
Let's talk fruit, right? So there are some people that you're going to invest in that are going to be like bananas. Okay, you say, Pastor C, what do you mean by like bananas? So there's some people that are built like bananas, right? They're pretty on the outside, they look like they're flawless, right? But if you put any pressure, if you was to happen to squeeze a banana, it's going to immediately fold under pressure, right? Versus you have potatoes, right? Potatoes are rough, they don't look as good, they've been in the dirt, in the soil. But the one thing that you can do with potatoes, you can do so many different things with potatoes, but if you try to squeeze a potato, you'll dang near break your hand trying to squeeze the potato, because it's built for, you see what I'm saying? So it's built for the pressure. So when you got to understand when God has you investing in people, you have to understand at the end of the day, what you invest in the return of people is going to determine how easy somebody's life could and should be, because of what you've done in previous history of investing in people, man. Some people are bananas, some people are potatoes, some people are a little bit rough around the edges, but they produce more.
Wow. Wow, that's good, PC. That's good, Chris, man. Bree says sometimes she feels our investment in people, whatever type it may be, is a way of provoking. I like that word, provoking, and she put that in quotations. God to bless you in the way you need it most. Hopefully that makes sense. Yes, it makes sense in the way you said it. Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, go ahead.
Let me say this. See, like, here's the thing, and to you, Miss Bree, you are absolutely right. Because there's times that you will invest, God will have you invest in people for a season that you didn't even know what you were about to go through. And so he had you invest in somebody to prepare you for what you were about to go through. And so you would invest in somebody, hey, maybe it was financially, you blessed them or you sold into them or you invest into that person, but on the back end, you know, you were about to deal with the illness, you know, quote unquote corona. And now we're able to walk through that land of corona and not turn out like some people turned out because you invested financially in somebody else. You see what I'm saying? That's when God will then see what you have done. Here's the problem. The problem becomes is when he tells you to invest and you don't.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The disobedience in investment.
Yeah.
like, no, I was going to mess with you. I was going to say, like, oh, boy tried to get you with YouTube. You're disobedient. Nah, I'm just playing.
Right now, every time I think about it, man, I could, you know. But anyway, hey, listen, that could have been a God. Let's be very honest with you. That could have been a God opportunity that I was maybe too immature and not understanding. Like I ain't gonna lie to you, I didn't take it to God either. I didn't pray about it. Yeah. I was like, first of all, $1,000. That's all I got in my savings anyway. You know what I mean? And it's not happening. And then I was going to have to convince my wife that I gave somebody $1,000 for something that could or could not maybe work. No, that wasn't going to work at that time. But you know.
Well, see, now you're getting into the risks of like you said, the risks of investing in others, because again, that's right. I think God set the standard and the tone just on people alone, because look who died on the cross with Jesus to the left and to the right. You know what I'm saying? So those are imperfect people, and but yet he took his life. He risked his life. He gave his life, not risk. He gave it up. That's for those type of individuals, the liars, the cheaters, the murderers, the criminals or whatever, bro. And a lot of times we're so disobedient. It's kind of like you said, the disobedience of not investing in people, because we tend to choose the ones that we want to invest in, which are not necessarily the ones that need to be invested in the first place. It's somebody,
good, man.
Yeah. It might be someone that the least the one that you expected. Like, really, God, you keep putting this person crossing my path, and that person, like you said, we're looking at them, like you said, when the guy was Singular Wireless and somebody might have came in there. Listen, I work, and this is true, I work with millionaires every day that dress like plain Jane people, dude. I mean, just a regular pair of jeans and a shirt. You never know. Don't drive nothing fancy or anything like that. And they're millionaires, because one thing you don't want to do is mess around there and judge a book by its cover and assume the worth or the value of that cover, not knowing that it's bigger than what you've ever could have imagined or expected when God gets his hands on it. So your assignment is always going to be, in my opinion, I just believe this with my heart, your assignment is always with people. Just as pastors, your assignment is, you're called to people. You know what I mean? All kinds of people. When people, we're like a hospital. You know, when people come in, you got them all different walks of life, and you have to invest your time while you're in the service, when you're out of the service, praying and interceding for other people. That's investing in people when you're praying for them. And, you know, and that's kind of turning into the next segue. Like, what are some ways that you can invest in other people? So you can simply invest in by interceding it and going into prayer for somebody that needs it. You can, you can invest using your finances or just speaking to people, because people are facing so many obstacles today, man, that they're ready to give up. They're ready to throw in the towel, and they need your help. They need you to invest back into them.
Yeah, and that's so good. That's so good, T, man. Like, and here's the thing about that, man. You said something. Just saying hello, like people don't understand what the investment is just to help brighten somebody's day. Sometimes the investment is not as big as you think. You know what I mean? Sometimes the investment is not as big as you think. Sometimes it's not that $1,000. You know, it's that $5 to that homeless person.
Come on.
That changes the trajectory of that individual's life. You know what I mean? Or it could be that 10 minutes out of your time to answer that phone call that you didn't want to answer, to talk to somebody that you didn't want to talk to. You know what I mean? It's the investment, because you could literally change somebody's life just by spending some time with them. The number one thing I've noticed as a pastor, man, the number one thing that people want is not money. They want time. As you get older, you figure out that money can only do so much, because at the end of the day, we're going to all do the same thing. We're going to be born and we're going to die. And that's at the end of the day, the one commodity that you can't buy is time.
Oh, man, that's invaluable. It's
That's
invaluable. It is.
Create more of it either. You know what I mean? Everybody got the same 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And sometimes it's just taking that hour to talk to that individual that you usually, be like, oh, I don't want to talk to them today, or I know they ain't gonna talk about nothing I want to talk about. But sometimes it's that door opening, and there's a reason I'm calling you, and it's taking that time out to go ahead, walk in and use your time and what God has given you to give unto others.
I like that, man. Not placing a value on the investment, but just investing, whether it's a gesture. A gesture could be a simple investment, a smile, a handshake, a hug. Wow. Man, if you guys got any comments out there and you want to call in, 512-827-9164. We love to hear from you. We hope you're enjoying this, man. This is so good, man. This really is. I'm enjoying this, man.
Yeah, I am too, man. I mean, because investment is, when you start talking about investments like this, man, this is the stuff that most people don't talk about. Like, we talk about investment in companies and investment in all of that, which is all that's good. Let me first say that too. Yeah. Like that stuff is great to talk about. But again, at the end of the day, people are the commodity. People, individuals, and a lot of times they might not be of the same race of you. There have so many people that have invested in my life that were not African American. That wasn't Caucasian. I've had people that Hispanics and or Latinos and Asian, of the Asian descent. Man, God has really opened up doors in my life from everybody. That's why I can't be the judge.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. I mean, oh man, because I feel like this, man. If you're gonna be the investor in that point, to that point, why should you even identify race or color or economic status or social status? You know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, the return that I'm looking for, I don't care who it comes from. At the end of the day, if it's a blessing, you know what I mean? Right. Especially if it's finances. You know what I'm saying? Oh, man.
Hey, so Bree in the chat says, although Corona is still in full effect, she says, I feel that people really need a human connection. She says, I have slacked off on the hugs and kisses on the cheek, but sometimes I will rub somebody's shoulders just to connect with them physically. I know exactly what you mean. even before I was a pastor, man, I'm a hugger, I'm a handshaker, I do all that kind of stuff. And with this corona thing, it's sometimes the physical touch. There is a euphoria to get a hug from somebody that truly cares about you. You know what I mean? Like family members and friends, that handshake, that fist bump that we usually have with fellow friends, family. It changes something when you can feel that somebody is investing in you. You know what I mean?
That's good, man. That and I think it also goes along with authenticity, man. Being genuine and authentic, man. People can discern, whether it's a real investment or a fake investment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Man, that like you said, that point of contact, that touch, that shoulder rub, or just that point of contact, man. It's just. That physical touch, man. It is something. It is something about it, man. And man. Especially when it's coming from a genuine place, man, from the heart, man. Yeah.
Right. And then sometimes some people are better at communication that way. So I can invest in you because some people don't do a whole lot of talking like me. I can talk all day. And that's what I do for a living, right? But there's some people that might not say a whole lot, but they'll come up and give you that hug, or that, what I'm saying, that give you that fist bump to let you know that, hey, I'm with you. If you need anything, I got you. Sometimes, man, there's a friend of ours, man. There's a friend of ours his name's Myron. I ain't gonna say his last name, but Myron ain't gonna say a whole lot to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Myron come up and give you that fist bump to say, hey, whatever you're going through, bro, or give you that handshake or that hug and say, whatever you're going through, I got you. You know what I mean?
That's
so
true.
He's great with the non-verbal communication, and he has invested. Like Myron is the dude that will call you and won't even tell you he's finna show up because you got to move. He'll just show up with a moving truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's Myron.
Yeah, he'll show you with his actions too. Yeah, that action. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, before we got here, like, what can we? And everybody in the chat room, everybody that's listening is, hey, throw it out there, calling in or whatever. 512-827-9164. 512-827-9164. But my question is, what are some, and I know we gave a couple of them, but what are some other ways or how to invest in others, besides financially,
other, like you have the investment in, money, which we all know. But sometimes, again, we talk about time, but let's break down what time means, right? Because time can incorporate so much, right? It's almost like in investing the time to invest it, like in children, bro. Like we seldomly understand the investment in children that it takes to get them to move to the next level, right? And like I said, it's not just about people. God honors that time that you spend with children, and children is not your own either. Like, I mean, we got our own kids. Don't get us wrong, but like the kids that you see that are needing that touch, like Bree said, that physical touch or that mentorship. So mentorship is another way of investing in people, not just children, but in adults. Some adults need some mentoring,
Wow.
Yeah, man. Counseling is another way to invest, because mentoring and counseling are two different things. Mentoring is showing somebody what needs to be done, right? Counseling is actually helping people find out what needs to be done in their own life, and then let them take the helm from there.
Come on, man. Oh man, we got a couple of replies to that, man. Bree says she's always felt that if you have the knowledge that someone else could utilize, it makes no sense to keep it to yourself. Make the investment in someone else the same way it was made in you. Now that's powerful right there.
Now, that's
because
good.
A lot of people have pie mentality. And they won't share. They will not share what they know, because they don't think that God is big enough to supply their dreams, and while somebody else can eat with it too. If we all bring something to the table, we can eat off the table. We can eat together. Come on, man. That's real talk, Bree.
And that's so good. You said that pie mentality that has crippled, especially the African American community for so
my God
long. That crab in the barrel pie mentality. And that's why we don't invest in each other. That's why we don't invest in each other's companies.
Touché.
That's why we don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't invest in people's startup, you know, and then we always want the hookup when it comes to our people versus other people. And so that's a whole nother podcast right there. But
it sure is, bro. Pie. I should just call it a podcast called Pie.
Hey, write that down, brother. Shamika said, giving someone your full attention, being involved in activities they enjoy, actively listening, like all of that. You're absolutely right, Miss Shamika. Like all of that is investments, man. Sometimes, like I said, it's the time spent, but not just time spent doing what somebody else wants to do. Like that's so good, Miss Shamika, because we just say, "Oh, I spent time with them." Well, you spent time with them on your phone. You were sitting there, but you were on your phone the whole time, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of being, that's not very well time spent. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's good. That's good.
You know, that brought me back, and I know we're going to prepare. We ain't forgot about y'all on that 80s R&B and 90s R&B. That reminds me of a song with High Five called Quality Time.
Most people don't even remember High Five, boy.
Quality time, man. No, man, that's crazy. Oh, man. Listen, this has been I've enjoyed this podcast tonight. Oh, man. If nobody else has anything out there to offer, man, I think we can start wrapping up the chords or whatever, man, with our final comments and our plugs. You wanna hit up with a final comment, plugs what you got going on over there at Life Changers, etc.
Oh yeah. First, I want to start off and saying, man, like this was a great podcast topic, man. The investment. Listen, if you're listening to us live right now, or you're just tuning back in to listen to the recording, just remember that whatever you do, invest in people, because people are going to have to invest in you. They won't do what you won't do. You know what I mean? And so always remember to invest, man. Another thing is, listen, if you're anywhere in the Austin, Texas area, listen, we're preparing actually for our Easter Sunday, man. We're getting prepared for that, and I would like for you to be if you're anywhere in the surrounding areas of Austin, Pflugerville, I want to see you at Life Changers Church on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. If you can't make it live at our physical service, tune in online on our website or on Facebook or YouTube. Man, we're everywhere. God is doing something big, and He's not going to stop. And so I want to see Him bless your life just like He's blessing ours, guys.
Oh, man. And then you got Sunday services live, right, on Facebook?
Yeah, our Sunday service is live on Facebook. It's at LCC Austin on Facebook. Again, that's at the @ LCC Austin. It'll bring us right on up. And then again, you can watch us, man. We got Dr. Trevor be on the cameras working all that good stuff. we go live, man, and literally, I'm telling you, God is up to something great at Life Changers. And if you connect with us, I promise you, let me say this, if you connect with us, I promise your life will never be the same. So I'm excited for what God has for you, and I'm so excited for what you are about to experience in Him.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, my final comment would just be to reiterate what I said earlier, man. Listen, God invested in people, and He set that tone for the investment of man when He sent Jesus to die for us so that we may have eternal life. Listen, you got to look beyond the flaws and acknowledge that people are always going to be imperfect, but they do have purpose. Just like you have a purpose, others have purpose too. And you just got to be selfless and forgiving and go in knowing that even though it may not be reciprocated from that individual that God always has that Luke in 6:38 that Pastor Chris talked about, the give and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down and shaken and running over. Guys, listen, we appreciate all of you that listen live to us tonight, whether it was in the chat room or at the next15podcast.com website. Listen, if you're listening at next15podcast.com, you can jump in the chat room. Go to Spreaker, Spreaker, that's Spreaker with an R, and find Next 15, and you can jump right in and engage with us. We love the interaction. Also, don't forget, we do this every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can follow us at Next 15 Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And before I go, I want to give a shout out to Juan Alaman from the 80s Hour and the Wrestling Way Back podcast. Two great podcasts, one podcaster. He's a one-man show and he gets the job done. We love you, Juan. And everybody, for Chris McAllister, this is Trey North. We'll see you on the Next 15.